Hey everyone! Welcome back to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap and review romance novels while doing friendship in front of you, generally being silly, and loving each other. Today, before we jump into everything, I have a Patreon shout out. This goes out to Jackie G. Jackie, you are a fairy of fortitude and friendship. You will use anything at your disposal, all the tricks up your sleeve, to help the ones you love. And your mischievous imagination makes you a hoot to be around. Alright, we were so excited to read The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang, and we're even more excited to chat about it. Erin and I, however, recognize our limitations, and we have very limited experience and knowledge regarding autism. We want to make sure we're honoring the neurodiverse community, so if we make mistakes regarding phrasing or seem to have been harmfully misguided by pop culture or our own assumptions, please feel free to correct us via email. It's certainly not your responsibility, but we do want to learn, so if you're inspired, don't hesitate to email heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. We hope to see more amazing works featuring neurodiverse characters in the future. And we'll definitely be doing more reading on our own to educate ourselves. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into The Kiss Quotient, Helen Hoang's amazing debut novel. Hi, Erin.
Hey, Mel.
How the hell are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm pretty darn good.
You look pretty bright and chipper for being so late at night where you're at.
I has makeup on.
Oh!
That's really the only
Believe
difference.
it or not, I have makeup on too.
No, you do. I can tell.
It's army makeup. It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mascara, really. Mascara, and you can see my eyebrows. Those are the two things.
Yeah, and you can always see my eyebrows because they're tattooed on your face. If you're new to the podcast, I've got face tattoos and their eyebrows.
You look like you have something to say, and I want you to tell me everything. I have to tell you about
something that's happening in my life.
Yes! Is it illicit bread? No, we covered that.
No.
Is it illicit chewy granola bars?
Dave of Dave's Killer Bread hit a cop car with his car, but did not kill that cop. He was just injured.
Probably just minorly. It's probably
I think it was a soft tissue neck injury. However, the act.
And you are on record, Erin, from Dear Which I Want You, as saying those are bullshit every time. So
kind of. I mean, they're unprovable.
You cannot go back on it now that it's a boy in blue. That is bullshit every time.
there is such a thing as a soft tissue neck injury. It's just usually in a lawsuit bullshit. Always. So, all right. About 3 weeks ago, my boyfriend, David, it's like he woke up and this is not how it happened, but this is how I remember it.
Well, but also your fiancé.
Sure, yeah. He wakes up from, it's a French word I don't like to say. It just sounds so,
No, I hear you.
Fiancé. I don't like it. Wakes up from a dead sleep, David, sits bolt upright in the night, and just says, pig roast. This is how I remember it. I don't know if that's what happened. But he started showing me pictures of pig roasts and saying things like, babe, we could roast a whole pig in the backyard.
In the middle of the night.
And I say, I mean, just generally this slowly started happening. Like, he'd just be like, pig roast. And I'm like, yeah, we could roast a whole pig in the backyard, but why and how and logistics? And he'd be like, we just dig a pit. And they do this in Hawaii all the time. You dig a pit.
They do that in Hawaii all the time. You dig a pit, you get some really hot rocks.
Wood in it. Oh my God.
I fucking know. You put the leaves.
I know. Because
and you bury that shit. And it's so good.
I don't know where he got this idea. Like, I don't know how it was like a lightning bolt went to his brain and he was like, pig roast. And then he went to work and he was like, pig roast. And all his coworkers were like, pig roast. And now he's trying to procure the pig.
Yeah.
And he's going to dig the hole in the yard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, I don't want a 10-foot hole in the yard.
I do.
For pigs.
Can I come over?
He's all like, oh, well, when I fill in the hole, then you can have a bigger vegetable garden.
There you go.
And didn't you want a bigger vegetable garden? And I was like, I hadn't said anything about that.
And there'll be ash in there.
Oh
so it'll be halfway composted.
Never mind. I really thought I was going to be able to complain about this to you because there's like 7 men that he's recruited that are like pig roast. Oh my God, it's awful.
And Melody, pig roast.
Yeah,
pig roast.
God. We're just sitting at dinner last night, complete silence, eating our food, and he looks at me and he's like, "We're going to need some tiki torches." And I was like, what? For what? What do you mean we're going to need tiki torches? And he's like, for the pig roast. And I'm like, well, what purpose would those serve? And he's like, babe, it's a luau. Like, okay.
Do you want me to send you a recipe for lalos? Because
oh my God. He has every fucking recipe. He's ordering banana leaves from Hawaii.
He's
also getting a pig from a farm.
I can also send you some easy bake haupia. I've got it for you.
Just
that delicious coconut dessert. I'll send it to you in the post.
Okay. All right.
Oh boy,
we'll
I'm so excited.
Can we just start over and do different banter? No. I just really thought that you would be on my side.
No, I'm not a pal right now.
Oh no, he's digging a 10-foot hole in your backyard.
You live
Erin,
in Alaska.
You're beautiful. What the fuck? That doesn't mean anything.
There's so much land there. Just get over it.
I don't own it. I have a limited amount of backyard.
You can get more yard.
No,
you can buy some.
No.
Bigger vegetable garden. Or next year, it'll be the most beautiful patch of grass.
Mm-hmm.
This is exciting. You should just look at this as a win.
I just want to rewind and just talk about, I don't know.
No, I'm Team David on this.
Can we talk about a food you ate today? Can we talk about these graham crackers
I actually do have a question for you. That is
about graham crackers? Because I know the whole history of graham crackers.
No, but that should be a bonus episode. Erin telling us the history of graham crackers.
It's very simple. Graham crackers.
Oh boy.
Were invented by a man with the last name Graham for church Christians.
Mm.
He believed that the graham cracker would make you have less sex drive.
No.
Yeah. So people ate the graham crackers so they'd stop doing sex stuff with people. I'm like 70% sure of this. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even like trying to make the body of Christ. He just wanted people to stop getting frisky.
I don't think so. I think there was some kind of ingredient that he believed would stop the sex drive of persons. Yep.
Well, Mr. Graham, you're a dumbass. No, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Because I'm sitting here eating sweet tarts. Illicit sweet tarts. I'll have that noted for the record.
Why? Does your husband boycott sweet tarts?
No, he doesn't boycott sweet tarts. I'm just embarrassed about my sweet tooth. And so sometimes...
Why?
I don't know. I just am. So sometimes I will buy secret sweet tarts and then I hide them places. And then I eat them by myself. It's just a special melody thing. Okay.
Is that similar to when David hides the Hershey bars we have in the closet for s'mores from me so that we'll have equal s'more ingredients?
No.
Joke's on you, David. I'm eating graham crackers right now.
No.
It's all marshmallows next time.
Although sometimes I do ask Michael to hide chocolate. Like I buy chocolate and then I'm like, I take out a half a bar and then I say, Michael, please hide the rest.
Our gun safe is guns, chocolate, and granola chewy bars. That's what's in there.
That checks out. No, so here's my question.
Sorry.
Do you eat things in a particular order sometimes?
Sometimes I'll sort my M&Ms out of boredom. To slow myself down.
Oh, it's
not out of boredom.
Though.
It's to slow myself down.
Really? Because M&Ms...
so that I'm not just like...
M&Ms, I have my own special game.
Uh-huh.
Actually, you know this, game? Right? Yeah. Well, is it a game or is it a neuroses? I don't know. But
it's the second one.
But my college roommate, Sarah, one of my best friends, figured out early on that she could swindle me for M&Ms by fucking up my game. Because here's what it is. I sort the M&Ms by color. Okay? And then I eat all the odd numbers out so that there's only even numbers left.
What do you mean the odd numbers?
So like if there's 5, I eat 1 so that there's 4 left.
Okay, all right. So now all the colors have... What
even
if there's
numbers.
1? Do you eat it down to 0?
I eat it.
Okay.
Eat it gone. Okay. No odd numbers. And
do you do it in ascending or descending order? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, the odd numbers just come out and I hump them. Delicious. Mine.
Hump.
Then I eat them by 2s in order of, first I eat all the ones that have the most. So I'll eat them by 2s until they're all equal. And then I eat them by 2s according to the colors, from the colors I like the least to the colors I like the most.
Give me the colors.
Brown, orange, red.
You like brown the least.
That's right. Brown, orange, red, yellow, green, blue. That's the order I usually go.
I want to say my M&M eating order is, I think, exactly opposite of yours.
That makes sense. It's our Chris Pine. We are. This is our Chris's.
I feel like blue and green and orange are flavors that are not supposed to be chocolate. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of like this one's going to taste like limes. I know it's not going to, but I don't like them as much as the chocolate colored ones.
I hear you. Well, since they don't actually taste like I mean, they don't taste like anything. Because, like, sweet tarts, I eat in order of flavors I like from least to most. All right? That's how I do it. But then M&M's is just colors that I like. Because they don't taste like anything. Now, here's the thing. Sarah, the smart cookie, was like, I know that if I walk in and eat 1, she will offer me another one. Because... she has to get them down to an even. So she would like take 3. And then I'd be like, motherfucker, now you have to eat another one until you have 4.
Wow.
Yeah, it was diabolical.
I love how my 2 sentences on the history of graham crackers are like, we have to save that for a Patreon episode because it's going to be long and weird and boring and no one's going to want to listen to it. But listen to this.
No!
Riveting stuff.
This went in a tangent and I'm going to... probably cut this out and paste it into some random
you're not.
bonus episode.
Give them what they want. Give them what they want.
No, there are so many skippers. Actually, I only know of one skipper.
Yeah.
But
I only know of one skipper. I know.
Scarred me. That 4-star review scarred my...
It was a 3-star. I went back and checked. It's a 3-star. I thought it was a 4-star. It's a 3. It's a 3-er.
Did she go back? Did they go back and make it a 3? Because it was a 4.
It was a 4.
She hates it.
She hates it.
She hates it.
The more we banter, the less stars we're getting.
Man, it's like going to be a 1-star review in 3 months. She's just going to keep going back and being like, these bitches won't shut up about things that are not romance books.
Oh, man. But not since you had your bagel war have you talked in depth about your weird food stuff. So I think we're due.
It's true.
I think we're due.
I'm probably still going to cut it just for patrons.
No.
Okay.
I think it's apt for this book. Really, I don't think that's a tangent for this book.
Okay.
Because this heroine likes things how she likes them.
That's true.
Just like you like your M&Ms how you like them.
Yeah, I dig that about her. Okay, so we are talking about the Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. And
yes, we are.
Okay, so wait. Erin and I had a long discussion about this before. We searched all over Hillendale. On her website, we searched on YouTube videos that reviewed the book. We tried to find Audible interviews. Couldn't find anything. I think it's Helen Hoang. If I am wrong, please, for the love of God, correct me.
Yes.
So there is that.
Correct us.
Yes.
On the Audible, it's Hoang. But remember when we listened?
Yes.
We listened to an Audible of somebody one time. The
Tiffany
Audible
Rice
pronounced their name. Was it Tiffany Rice?
Yeah, it was Tiffany Rice.
Yeah, so you can't trust the Audible, man.
You can't do it.
I don't know. Okay. But
what
an excellent book
by Helen Hoang. It is such a gorgeous fucking experience. From start to fucking finish, this hero is the dreamiest.
So sexy.
And dreaming. And his sex quotient is up in the sky. Or higher.
So good.
It's intergalactic, you guys. And then the heroine is a really successful econometrician. Right? Yeah. And she's autistic. So the coolest thing about this book for me at least on like first read. I've read other books that are about autistic people. And a lot of times for me, the people always come off as like a little bit robotic, even though I know that they're supposed to be people. And I know I've had personal interactions and friendships with people who are on the spectrum, and they're never robotic. They just have eccentricities. So like I remember reading The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime when I was like 18. I haven't read it since then. It's a beautiful book. I remember crying my eyes out. But I don't know if this is a reflection on my experience and who I was at 18 or a neurotypical person writing an autistic kid. But I just remember feeling like the kid was really robotic a lot. Never, ever in this book does the heroine feel like that at all.
She doesn't seem emotionless, which is also a way autistic people are often portrayed. Like without any kind of, it's almost like they're portrayed like sociopaths sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
which is not accurate.
Full of emotions, not.
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I guess we're saying the same thing. You're saying robotic. I'm saying, but it's almost like people are portrayed as having a lack of empathy.
Exactly.
And that's not
true.
What it is.
Right.
Yeah. And also, never have I seen an autistic portrayal as like super sexy before. Like no one's ever shown anyone on the spectrum as being like a sexual being.
They
at least
always
in my,
make them sexless. Yeah.
Oh, stupid.
God, this was so good.
So good.
Just de-fucking-licious. And so it's written also by a neuroatypical woman. And I read some stuff about her afterwards because I was just really intrigued. And this all started, well, not like her romance writing, but she sought a diagnosis at 34 because some teachers had some questions, I think, about one of her daughters. Yeah. One of her children. And she was like, I mean, I think she's neurotypical, but let's find out. And then she just saw herself in all of the research and then sought the diagnosis. So this is just amazing. And I guess she really imbued the heroine with a lot of the particular eccentricities that she has as well. And I think that's one of the reasons that she just comes off as an actual, like a full, beautiful person and not just like an archetype. So anyway, it's goddamn gorgeous. But wait, we should get into it. Okay, so then we have Stella Lane.
Stella Lane.
Hi, Stella. And then we have Michael Fan is how he originally puts himself out there on his escort website, you guys. Ooh.
Not his real name.
Not his real name.
Duck, but just kind of like a little mini Darkwing Duck. Not like a foot. It's more like a Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, he doesn't
very
swirl.
Small.
He doesn't swirl any capes.
Yeah, no capes. Just like a Darkwing. Yeah. That's it. That's how small it is.
Yeah. And also, I also love this because he is half Vietnamese, and we don't get enough portrayals of super hot, sexy, virile Asian men.
Sing it, Melody.
Western society, my friends.
Not
Asian
enough
dudes
tonkus.
Are hot. Yes.
Not enough tonkus portrayed out in the media.
Man, so we've got a twofer here. We've got an autistic lady who's actually a person on the page, and we've got an Asian man who is just excellent.
Just doing good.
And named Michael. And can I just say that it was really nice to see another super hot, sexy Michael who is Asian, who's not my husband. Okay, chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Okay, so she's out to lunch. Stella is out to lunch with her mom and dad. And her mom really grated on my nerves at the beginning of the book and then won me over by the end of the book. But yeah, she's just like, hey, P.S., I want grandbabies, so I think that you should probably get on that. And I think that's her way of sort of prodding Stella.
But
what?
Don't you believe her mother also has Asperger's?
I don't know.
At the end of the book, when they're at the benefit, her mother makes a comment to her that she wants to leave because the noise is getting to her. And I was wondering if that was maybe like a little nugget from the author. Because her mother seems very insensitive throughout and like just a little bit blunt and a little bit rude when she's talking about how she wants grandkids and like how she kind of forces her into dating in a way that's like kind of pushy. Like, I just thought maybe she had some...
Interesting. So I read it as a mom who, from experience, knows that her daughter's not going to pick up on hints.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
that's
so
maybe it too.
It's just like, boom. And then at the benefit, I read it as an excuse for the table. That's like something that Stella would glom onto so that she would also want to leave.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons that she started growing on me, because I started to learn the mom as well. Mm-hmm. And it really seemed like where I thought it was rude, once I got like halfway through the book, I was like, oh, she might talk to Stella like that because she knows that any politeness will just go over her head.
Mm-hmm.
I
thought that too until the benefit when she said that, and I was like, oh, maybe it's a little nugget, maybe it's a little hint that they have, because it is a genetic thing, you know. So maybe like anyway,
I hadn't thought about that. Interesting. Okay, so basically, she's like, you should try Tinder because I want grandbabies, and I'm like, oh, Mom, you're so misguided, but we loves you. And then she tells her dad that she was offered a promotion, but she passed it up because it would be 5 direct reports and less data. Yeah. And so she's just like, I don't think I can handle it. So I passed it up. Too much people, not enough maths. Yeah. Yes. And then she goes to the office because she goes there every day. She goes there 7 days a week. Because she loves her job. She loves it.
What's weird to me is like, I go into the office on weekends like a lot, but like I don't wear my work clothes. She wears her work clothes. I'm like, damn girl.
I know. She's
good at it, I guess.
Well, she also has them specially made so that they fit her well. And I mean, like,
she doesn't have any casual clothes.
Exactly.
Like, she
we
literally
learned that
has
later.
none. Yeah.
So, and then Philip, one of her her coworkers drops by because he's come to get an Econo-sized box of Trojans out of his office. And she's like, do you really think you need all of those? And he's like, well, I'm dating that hot new intern, so I think she's going to want to fuck me tonight, basically.
Gross.
He's so slimy and gross.
And then he's even grosser to her. He's like, hey, Stella, you virgin? Which is so... I can't imagine a coworker being like, so what, you virgin? Or like, what's your fucking problem? Like, oh, it was awful.
Well, he does say that he has... I think he puts it as like similar issues in about halfway through the book. But I just think he's a dick.
That doesn't... Yeah, I think his issues are he's an asshole. Well, I don't know. There will be sequels to this. Maybe we'll figure out his deal later.
I don't care. I would much rather get a story about Quan and Kai.
Yeah, well, we're going to get one. That's what I would like. So.
Yep. And then, so she's like, you know what? It's none of your business, but no, I am not. And then he's like, what, have you had sex like 3 times? And she's like, God.
Yeah, that's exactly how many times? Why do you say that?
Yeah. And so then he tells her that she needs to get experience because then maybe she can keep a man. He's like, I bet you just lay there and run algorithms through your brain. And she's so cute because she's like, well, if I could get that many huge numbers into like mentally, then yeah, I would. But I do really crazy math. So no, I can just construct the elegant equations, not actually compute them in my brain. Anyway, she's so wonderful. And then he leaves like a dick. And
she starts thinking maybe she does need practice. But then she's like, how do you practice sex? You can't just like hire somebody and be like, practice sex on me. But then she's like, you can.
Yes, you can.
You hire a prostitute. So she starts Googling up some prostitutes in the San Francisco Bay
She starts Googling up area. Some sex workers or escorts.
I'm sorry. You're right. Sex workers.
So yeah, that's where we leave her. And then, okay, guys, we cut to Michael, our sweet, beautiful, wonderful
gosh,
Michael.
What a cinnamon bun is Michael.
Yum town.
Hot out of the oven. Here we go.
So
he is opening up his STDs for the month to see if he contracted any STDs from all the ladies that pay him for sex.
This is so funny because he's opening up STDs and bills. And so he's like, all right, the bill wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That means I've got chlamydia.
Yep. Yeah.
And then the STD screen is fine. And then he's like, you know what that means? That means that I'm going to have a really tough job this evening.
Yep.
And so he goes and he starts doing a hot for teacher fantasy in the shower, gets himself almost over the edge, and then stops just in time so that he's all primed and ready for being an escort on a date.
Yeah. Because he's got to really psych himself up for, like, whatever old lady that he's not really going to be attracted to that needs to hire a sex worker. Like, he's imagining, like, okay, what's Stella look like? Probably not her real name. Probably older. Probably not somebody I'm going to be into.
Well, or because he's Asian and people think he looks like Daniel Henney. Hubba hubba.
I had to Google that one, but I was like...
boy. Yeah.
I was into it.
So then he's like, the worst is the older Asian ladies who want me because I look like Daniel Henney, and they just remind me of my mom. So he shows up, he sees an Asian mom, and he's just like, oh, here we go.
Here she is.
False alarm, somebody sits down with her, and he's like, who's sitting alone? Not that super foxy lady who's in, like, librarian cosplay, right? Not that lady. Oh, yeah, that's Stella.
Yep.
And then, Erin, can I tell you how much I love it that she jumps up and shakes his hand when he introduces himself, and he's like, she greeted me like an equal.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. It's sweet.
Really sweet. And
and then when they're ordering dinner, she's like, maybe don't order lamb because I'll think about it being woolly all night. And then she asks him if he has anything he doesn't want her to order.
Right.
And he's like, wow, that's really considerate, something that clients never are.
No one's ever considerate of what, would be gross to him.
He's just the help. He's just there to be their sexy dude. Mm-hmm. Although, you know what? I have to tell you something about myself real quick.
I can't wait. I can't. What is it? What
could it be this time, Erin?
Yeah.
Michael and I work for a lot of reasons. One of them is because early on, I looked at him in the face and I was like, hey, I hope you have good feelings about garlic and onion because I am not compromising on my intake of garlic or raw onion. So you need to get with the program. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. I like those too. And I was like, yes, because I just won't. It's a hard line for me.
You guys should have seen her face. She was like, I just won't. And then she backed away from the microphone a little bit and just held it. And I'm like, they're not here, Mel. You can't see how triumphant you are.
I won't.
Man, I thought that tangent was going to be a lot worse than it was. Okay, so.
I am like a box of chocolates, Erin. Okay.
So she explains to him that she wants him to teach her how to be better at sex. So she has hired him for some kind of like sex lessons. And this whole time he's been racking his brain for like, why has she hired me? Like, this is not a girl who like can't just go out and get a boyfriend. These kinds of women have boyfriends. I don't understand. And then it kind of dawns on him. Oh, she's got some kind of complex where she thinks that she's bad at sex.
Yeah. And he actually uses
it's clearly
that
not
word.
Going to be true, but it's what she must think. Right.
And she also, this is important to note, she asks him if he's up for more than one session, if he's up for repeat sessions.
Right.
Because she wants to get good at sex with one person and really feel comfortable with that person. And he's like, okay. And we find out from his inner monologue that he never does repeat sessions, but he doesn't tell her that. So they go to her hotel room and she is questioning herself the whole way. Like, she immediately takes off her shoes at the door and then she's like, oh God, was that the right thing to do? Like, am I allowed to do that? Is that weird?
Every little thing she does, she's like, I don't, is this right? Is this not right? Like,
he takes his shoes off right after her. And this whole thing is gorgeous.
This scene sold me so hard on this book. Now, this book was really good throughout, but I don't know if it ever gets quite back to how good this first scene is.
I will say that she does a lot of really subtle callbacks throughout.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not callbacks that like smack you in the face like a lot of books can do. They're really, really beautifully interwoven. And a lot of times it's just like similar imagery and not just like the same exact words or objects or whatever. Anyway, it is so good. Yeah. So tell me why you love this scene. Tell me everything.
It was just so slow, but for reasons.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised, and this might not be the first time anyone's written a romance novel about somebody with autism. I have no idea. I haven't ever read one. But I'm surprised because it's such a good device as well. Because it starts over, because every time he begins the process of seducing her, she tenses up, and then he's kind of got to start all the way back over at the beginning and try harder. I mean, not in a forceful way, but hey, okay, we'll start back at 1. Now we'll go to 2. Now we'll go to 3. Oh, we're back at 1 again. And that is so effective. Yeah. And this is it ends up being such a great device for a perfect sex scene. It's so good. And they don't even do sex times. I know. They just do smooch times. Yeah. It's so hot.
Okay, so let's just walk them through it a little bit because it is amazing. So she decides, she goes into the bathroom, I think because she wants to brush her teeth? She's just taking a breather, maybe. She's a little bit overwhelmed. She did want to brush her teeth or wash her mouth. Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember why exactly she goes into the bathroom, but she is tense and she's at the counter and everything, and he comes to the door and leans against the door jamb, and she's like, oh, that is really sexy, the way he's just casually leaning there. The best thing I think about his whole approach, and he talks about it a little bit later, there are reasons he's just sort of naturally good with her, but he never does the you're paying me for this, so I will do this. He really comes at it from a where are you and can I meet you there sort of quietly. he sort of inches up to her. I'll stand here you can touch me instead of trying to touch her. He's just you can touch me anywhere. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, he's just got this ability to sense where she's at. But I was going to say, he doesn't say, hey, you're paying me for this, so I'm going to do the thing you paid me for. Yeah. And he doesn't do the things that she's had sex 3 times in the past with guys who were just did sex on her, and they were like, you're bad at it, I'm out. God, and instead of clearly knowing that she had some sort of issue going on, or she wasn't enjoying it, or
they weren't paying any attention. They didn't care.
Clearly, if somebody's stiff as a board under you, they're not into it. Duh. Right. But they were like, "Oh, you're bad at sex." So, the opposite is, "I'm paying you," or "I bought your dinner, so this is what we're doing now," which is what the other 3 did. So,
well, and one of them, God, it's so fucking awful. One of them, had sex with her, and as he was getting dressed, he was like, "You should learn how to loosen up." And then left. Oh, it makes me cringe all over. Okay, so he goes up to her, and I think he just has a t-shirt on, and so she can see some black ink underneath the sleeve, and she goes to touch it and then goes back because one of her things is she doesn't like surprise or uninvited touches. So she doesn't like doing that to other people because she's incredibly empathetic.
Right. But first he takes her hair down.
Oh, yeah, he asks her. Oh, that's right.
He says, can I take your hair down? And he takes out the bun or whatever she had going, and then released the hair and made her scalp feel all good and did some scalp rubbing. Yeah, some nice scalp scratching. Good stuff. Then he lets her touch his biceps, which we haven't talked a lot about how super hot this guy is. Oh. I don't feel like we've talked enough about it. He's real super hot, you guys.
We can shout it from the rooftops.
I didn't read any passages, but he's real hot.
No, he is so gorgeous.
Yeah, so she kind of traces his tattoo. She's leaning in on him.
And then she smells him, and she discovers what pheromones are like when they match. Have I told you about Mr. Spenglish?
What? What?
Mr. Spenglish. I had a fling one summer, and...
Do you not remember his name?
I know it, but I've always called him Mr. Spenglish because it's just a thing between friends who I've talked to him about.
I've got a summer fling that I legit don't know it.
I had a nickname think of it right now.
Okay, good. I have one of those too. I have a nickname and I cannot... The name is gone.
Yeah, one I called the Sailor. No idea what their name is.
Well, I had some people I actually worked with that I just called sailors, as we know.
It's true.
Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, Mr. Spenglish, we met while dancing. I was social dancing, and we danced really well together just right off the bat. So for about like 2 weeks, this guy, he and I were just like going out together. And then like 3 dates into this thing, I was like, I don't like talking to you at all. Like you keep saying things. He took me to a taping of Bill Maher. That was really fun. So we did really cool stuff together, right? But then he would talk, and I was just not into it. But then he would be really smart, because he would say something, and I would be like, "What am I doing?" But then he would move in really close. And so I'd like smell his chest and remember that, like, evolutionarily speaking, we would have really strong babies together. And it would get me back every time. So this is what's happening to her. She's realizing down in her genes, they match.
Was he a Spanish-speaking man?
Oh, I'm sorry. His parents, he had dual citizenship because his parent, one was UK, fine. One was Spanish.
I just needed to know. Okay, all right, that's fine. I just had to know that there was some sort of reason.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so anyway, so she's smelling him, and she's like, oh, and so she's like, are you wearing cologne? Because on her note for the date, she was like, please don't wear cologne. Right. And he was like, no, I'm not wearing anything. She was like, why do you smell so good?
Is that just you?
Yeah. And he's like, it's just me, Stella.
Blurts. She's like, I want this smell all over me.
It's so good. And I love him because he's like, wow, you think you're really bad at sex, but you're really good at the talking part.
You're pretty good. And she's like, there's not a talking part.
Yeah, she's like, I've had sex before. There's no talking part.
He's like, there's a talking part.
Yeah.
I can't even read from this because I just highlighted pages and pages and pages.
Same. I'm having the same problem. Then he takes off his shirt. He's like, do you want to see my whole tattoo? And she's like, yes, I do. Mm-hmm. So he takes off his shirt, and this thing goes from his shoulder and on his bicep. So on his bicep, over his shoulder, over his chest, down his abdomen, and disappears into his pants. Mm-hmm. And it is a giant roaring dragon. And she just wants to touch it all over. And it's so cute.
So this is a pretty good example. This is right before he takes off his shirt, but he gives her like a smooch somewhere, like temple maybe, or cheek or something like that. And then he pulls back and he is like playing with her hair. And it says, without touching her skin, he stroked the fingers over her hair, slow, measured movements that swept from her crown past her neck and down her back. The motions calmed her even though they put her on edge. I think you should kiss me, he said in a husky voice. Her heart squeezed tight and her skin prickled in panic. She was a horrible kisser. Her awkward attempts were sure to embarrass them both. On the mouth? Mm-hmm. The corner of said mouth kicked up. Wherever you want to, but the mouth is usually a good place to start. Maybe I should brush my teeth. I can do that. And she kind of moves to do it. And then he presses a thumb to her lips, silencing her, but his eyes were gentle. That touch, too, was gone before she fully registered it in her brain. Let's try another way, he said. Do you want to see my tattoo? So it's like every time she tenses up, he just
changes tack.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so then he starts kissing her. Well, no. Wait, I don't think so. Oh, really?
They do kiss. No, but then after that, they go to the bedroom.
Yeah. So he kisses her closed mouth, and then he goes to start French kissing her. And she's like, is that really necessary?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know why you don't like French kissing. And she goes, I feel like I'm a shark and you're a pilot fish and you're cleaning out my teeth. And he was like, and so he laughs and she immediately is horrified and humiliated. Yeah. And she's like, are you laughing at me? And beautiful soul that he is, he says, no, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at what you said. You're really funny.
You're funny.
Oh, In her monologue, she's like, I'm never funny on purpose. I don't know how to do that. I'm just always funny accidentally, but usually it's people laughing at me. Mm-hmm. And it's just beautiful. So then they go into the bedroom, and she's tense on the edge of the bed. And so he goes on the middle of the bed and like taps where he is. So she comes over. Then they start kissing, and it's all really good. And she's got her hands in his hair, and he notices that she is instinctively doing things that he really likes, like giving him tension on his hair and massaging his scalp and stuff like that. And then he reaches down to undo one button on her shirt, and she freezes up completely.
Yeah.
Oh, and before all of this, she was like, oh, it'll be good to establish a baseline before we begin lessons so that you know what you're working with, and I know what I need to improve from.
Oh.
And he's like, are you a scientist, Stella? And so he learns a little bit about her. But anyway, she tenses up completely. And then he's like, Stella, what happened? Where'd you go?
Right. And she continues to unbutton her shirt. Like, he unbuttons the first button. She tenses up and keeps trying to unbutton her shirt, but she's like uncoordinated now. She's like all flustered. And he's like, well, what are you doing? And she's like, undressing. And he's like, well, I'm not going to have sex with you like this. Like, you're clearly not okay.
Right.
And then she just starts straight up crying.
Well, yeah, she goes, will you please just continue to establish the baseline?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then she just starts bawling.
Yeah. And then he starts to think that maybe somebody had hurt her in the past. Like, maybe she had some kind of like sexual related trauma, which is, a pretty good guess.
And it's also not completely untrue.
True. Because he's like, did somebody else have sex with you when you were like this? And she's like, well, yeah.
3 different dudes. He's like
pretty pissed about it.
Yeah. He does that awesome thing where normally I hate it when the hero is like, another dude had sex with you.
Murder them dead.
Yeah, but that's not what he's upset about. He balls his fist in rage because somebody took advantage of her like that.
Right.
And so he's like, all right, we're going to change tack completely. Why don't we watch a movie and cuddle, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. And he's like,
we're going to do it in our underpants though.
And she doesn't want to do that. And he's like, listen, you've got the final say on what we're doing. So you can say no. I just think it will be really helpful if we're skin to skin snuggling. And she's like, okay, fine. I can probably maybe do that. Oh, and then they watch Ip Man, which is a wonderful martial arts movie.
And she's touching his hands, and she feels calluses, and she's like, what are these calluses from? And he's like, they're from swords. And she's like,
stop it.
He's a sword man. He does sword things.
So
all right.
She falls asleep against him. I don't know if we find this out now, but he's shocked that he likes it. And then in the morning, she wakes up realizing she slept in, which is something she never does. She also went to bed without doing her bedtime routine, which is completely unheard of. And so he goes to leave, and she's like, I need to know whether or not we're continuing our sessions.
Right.
And he's like, no, we're not. I'm sorry. And so she asks for a referral. And this is where he tells her, girls like you don't need escorts. Girls like you have boyfriends. You need to get this idea out of your head. Burning anger pulsed through her body, immobilizing her. He didn't know anything about girls like her. That's completely untrue. Girls like me intimidate boyfriends away. Girls like me have never been asked out by a single boy. Girls like me have to find their own way, make their own luck. I've had to fight for every success in my life, and I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to get good at sex, and then I'll finally be able to entice the right person into being mine. And he goes, Stella, it doesn't work that way. You don't need these lessons. She's like, I don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Please think about giving me a referral. And then he is like, there are people who will take advantage of you out there. I don't want to do that. And she's like, don't worry, I have a taser. And it's just so good.
It's important that he basically says to her, she thinks, oh my God, I've scared him away with what a freak I am. And I was, like sweaty from being nervous. And he thinks I'm disgusting, probably. And he explains to her, I don't ever do repeat sessions. Right. So while I would love to, it's just not my thing. And, she asks why. And he said that clients previously had become obsessed with him and had,
turned into stalkers.
Yeah. And she, for the first time, is like, ooh, yeah, I'm probably going to do that. I'm that type. That's a thing I'll do,
Well, yeah, and
she
she's
has
like,
that thought there.
She does, and she explains later that it's sort of a hallmark of where she's at on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I think is really important and, like, I don't know, I just thought it was a really interesting and nice addition, is that when he says, I never do repeat sessions, her first thought is, then why did you go through with last night? I told you that what I wanted was repeat sessions. And then I made all of this progress thinking that I would be able to make more progress. And now you're ripping that out from underneath me as well.
Right. And she gets upset.
Yeah, she feels really betrayed.
So she's upset. He closes the door, leaves, and she sinks down to the floor. She's hugging her knees together. She's sad. She's crying. She's lonely. She doesn't know how she's ever going to get good at sex. And then he runs back and knocks on the door and is like, I'll do 3 sessions with you. And she's like, yes. And she thinks that she kind of like got him to do it. But really, like, he just likes her so much that he wants to see her again.
And can I say that even at the goodbye scene, there was a moment during their encounter last night where he was like, I'm going to kiss you now. And then the narration says, basically, he said that because he thought she needed to hear it. Like, she needed the warning. Mm-hmm. And so they agree to these sessions, and she's so stunned and excited that all she can say is okay to everything he's saying over and over again. And so he's like, all right, I'm going to kiss you now. And she's like, okay. And then he kisses her again, but this chaste kiss turns into something that he doesn't even understand.
Ahem.
Oh.
Ahem.
Yes, please.
Okay. She had shaken her brain into malfunctioning, and apparently that's all she could say now. He touched his lips to hers, and pleasure jolted to her heart, down her arms, down her legs. Tilting his head, he kissed her deeper, once, twice, again, until she sighed and leaned into him, tangled her fingers in his cool hair. He claimed his mouth with his tongue in a way that was new and familiar at once. She kissed him back with everything in her, trying to tell him that the things she wasn't articulate, trying to tell him all the things she wasn't articulate enough to say. God, Stella, he rasped against her lips, his dark eyes dazed and heavy-lidded. You learned that fast. Love that. Okay.
So then her mom calls, and she's like, I should get that. And answers the phone. And then he comes over, and he's like, we're on for next Friday. La, la, la. And her mom's like, who was that? She's like, Michael. And then her mom is like, oh my gosh, you have a boyfriend. It happened so quickly. It was just last week that I was like, I want grandbabies. Like, that's what, none of that is on the page. That's
her mom is like, my plan is working.
Yeah, exactly.
Because has her mom already told her about the benefit? That she wants her to bring a date to this benefit? Did we already talk about that? Her mom's having a benefit, and she expects Stella to find and bring a date to it. It's in like 2 months or so?
Yeah, it's in 1 month. And if she does not, then she will set Stella up on a date. And I loved it because during their conversation, she's like, Stella, dear, did you spend the night with a man? And she goes, it's not what you think. We didn't do anything other than kissing. The best kissing of Stella's life. Well, why ever not? Yeah. Stella's mouth worked without issuing words. You're a mature adult and you make good choices. Now, tell me all about this Michael. I was just like, oh, beautiful mom moments. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're at the kendo studio with Michael. This is where we meet the best cousin ever. His name is Quan.
Quan.
And then Quan's little brother, Kai. What?
I'm sorry. It didn't hit me when I was reading this, but I went to basic training with a guy named Quan, and he made a t-shirt that said Army of Quan, and it was so funny to me. I literally had not thought about it until this moment.
Man, that's a good pun.
Yeah, anyway,
it's
sorry.
An excellent pun.
All right.
Okay, so Quan is the best. He is an excellent cousin. We also learn about their strenuous workouts that include...
They have so many sword fighting, punching, kick workouts.
Yeah,
I don't understand what kendo is, but it sounds good.
I think you know in the show Arrow, where he always he's like does the punching drills on that pole with the sticks that are going out of it. I think that's part of kendo.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But here's my
sexy
thing. here's my thing for all the people who watch Arrow out there. If it involves that horse with the sticks and the punching routines, I can only imagine. You should see my gestures.
Yeah,
right now.
I wish everyone could see what Melody is pantomiming because it does not look cool.
No. I can only, like, my brain will only allow for the other thing that he does on Arrow. I'll post a GIF somewhere, maybe on our social media, is he does that thing where there's the erect poles that have the notches in them, and he hangs onto the pole and then uses all of his body muscles to just like work it up the notches.
Yeah. There's one of those at the army gym, and like guys will do that, and I'm just like perplexed. I cannot figure out how they do it. It's crazy.
It's core muscles, and I refuse to believe Michael doesn't know how to do that. I refuse.
This Michael or your Michael?
I think my Michael could figure it out, but I refuse to believe this Michael.
Oh, no, this Michael definitely knows how to do this. For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I love how we are 16% into the book and we are an hour into the podcast.
It's so good.
I told you this was going to be a two-parter before we sat down and you were like, this one? And I was like, yes, because we're just going to gush on it.
We're just going to gush so
there are
hard.
Two ways to make a two-parter, and that's when we love it or we hate it.
It's true. So, the things of note in this chapter are that Kwan's little brother Kai is autistic and they've all grown up together.
Sure.
And then 2, Kwan keeps on trying to be like, hey, remember how we've been best friends since we were born? Like, do you want to hang out sometime? Because we learn that for the past 3 years, Michael, for reasons that we will get into, has spent every single Friday night and only Friday night.
Only Fridays.
Yeah, he can't handle any more, but he spends every Friday escorting. And none of his family knows about it. So for the past 3 years, he's had giant secrets that he can't share with anybody. And there's more than just this one. We'll get to it. Yeah, so he has all these secrets. And so he's been accidentally, I think, pulling away from his family because there are things he just can't share. There are things he can't talk about. And so as a result, he's just not as close to his best friend and cousin. So Kwan is like, hey, there's this new club that's opening up and we should go on Friday night. And he's like, no, I can't. I have plans. And
he's like, bring your plans to the club.
Get it.
And he's like, kind of like, maybe, he just kind of leaves it.
Well, I do love, he's like, do you have a girlfriend or something? And he's like, no, nobody's special. And in his inner monologue, he's like, wait, that's not true. It felt wrong to describe
she was
Stella.
So special. She was so special. Also, we learn in this chapter that there's some kind of deal with Michael's dad. They talk about his shitty dad and all the lawsuits and everything with his dad. And we also learn that his mother is sick and he's super close to his mom and super worried about like finding her, unconscious or worse at some point. We also learn that he has a day job. Yeah. Because you would think that if he was escorting, he probably wouldn't need a day job because he's probably a super spendy escort, I would think.
Oh, God. In like Silicon Valley / San Francisco. Yeah. I'm guessing the minimum is $5,000 to the agency, which means he's making probably $3,500. Yeah.
You think he's making $5,000 for sex time?
For the whole night. It's sort of like the boyfriend experience. So, because otherwise he would be a by the hour escort. He never talks about a time frame. So he does all night, but he never does repeat clients. So for all night, he's making between $3,500 and probably $7,000 a night.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's so much money.
I mean, it's also the market. So I could be ballparking that up, but I'm also thinking about his...
But like everything's so expensive in Alaska. Milk is like $5 up here. Can you imagine?
Oh boy. Can I imagine the Alaskan outback escorts?
Am I inflating this wrong? Is this the wrong kind of...
I think maybe, yeah. All
right, cool.
But like some all-night escorts are like, $1,000 to $1,500. I just don't think he would do that only once a week. If he's paying, I don't know, let's say $15,000 to $20,000 a month on medical bills. Like, he would have to do it more if he weren't making at least $2,000 to $5,000 per week.
Because, spoiler alert, Melody, Jesus, he's using his escorting to pay for his mother's medical bills because she didn't have insurance. She has
insurance.
And she thinks she does.
So nobody knows.
He started selling his body on the streets for money
for his
mom. For her mom cancer care.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I was just doing the math.
Jesus, Melody. Spoiler alert.
Okay. All right. So
Friday
next up,
night,
it's
next
Friday
session, meeting at a restaurant.
Yeah, they meet at the same hotel restaurant.
Yep. Is it the same hotel restaurant?
It is, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they talk about how they're not going to have the same dish again or something like that.
Not to mention that Stella doesn't like new places. It was also, I think, the restaurant where she met her mom and dad for brunch.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so. Because she talks about her dad liking the lamb earlier and how she doesn't like that.
So she's done some thinking about this, of course, and she's decided she's probably one of those clients that's going to get obsessed with him because she's already kind of a little bit obsessed with him. So she's like, I'm going to keep it cool. This is all business. This is lesson time. So she's going to go to great
lengths to make sure she doesn't get obsessed.
Plan.
Yeah, she made a lesson plan.
Sex. And they're hilarious. Lesson
they're so
1.
Cute.
There's a box that says hand job lecture and demonstration. Box 2, hand job practice. Box 3, performance review. Missionary intercourse lecture and demonstration. Missionary intercourse practice. Performance review. And he, at some point, I think it's once they get up into the room, but he's like, would it surprise you if I told you that I was a little offended by your little lesson plans here? And she's like,
is perplexed.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, she's like, I should be clear with you that performance review would be your performance review of me. Not my performance review of you. And he's like, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I just am offended.
No, and so he's like, you know what? Never mind. It was a hypothetical question. And she still like looks back at the paper and looks back at him and then writes Stella's in front of all performance reviews.
Performance review Stella.
So cute. So wait. But downstairs, we do need to note that he's irritated and a little bit offended, but he cannot figure out why.
Yeah.
And then I think there's a point at which he's like, I need to put my own feelings aside because even though this isn't like the fantasy fulfillment that it normally is for my clients, I still need to be a professional.
Right.
And fulfill whatever needs she has.
Right.
And then isn't there...
And she puts on no kissing because she thinks that maybe that will stop her from falling in love with him.
Well, and she also says that he mentioned that she learned that really fast. And so since she learned it, they don't have to review it.
Yeah, they can check it off.
Yeah. And then
he's like, well, I can't. We have to do some smooching to get into the next thing. She's like, no, we don't.
No, we don't.
Yeah, just lessons.
And also, he wants to add foreplay to each lesson plan. And she's like, I would much prefer if we keep it you-centric since it's supposed to be my practice. And he's like, no. You don't understand. I'm not the only guy in the universe who likes getting a woman's engine revving.
Right. So, and he writes foreplay on her little lesson plan.
Yeah. And she's just like, I guess we'll do it your way then. And he's like, yes, I believe we will. So then they go up and they have the offensive talk. And she's so befuddled. And then I did like that during this, she gets like a little bit bolder. Like she takes off her clothes. She strips down to her underwear and she takes down her hair, takes off her glasses, decides that she's really gonna go all out. And then he has her straddle him on the bed. And he wants to kiss her desperately. But he also wants to respect the boundaries that she set up. And so he keeps accidentally forgetting and almost kissing her and then pulling back and like doing a cheek kiss or a whatever else. But then so then he starts doing some ear licking and kissing and breathing. And she's
like caressing of her arms and shoulders, and it's great.
And she's like, Is this foreplay? And he's like, yeah. Is it what you expected? And she's like, oh, golly.
Yeah, he says, is it what you expected? And she's like, no. And he's like, what did you expect? And she has nothing to say. She's like,
yeah. But then she gets so hot and bothered that she kisses him. And then she goes, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't kiss you. I made that rule, but I've been thinking about kissing you since last Friday, and now I can't seem to stop. And he goes, then don't stop.
He's like, want to try something even better? Get up on your knees. And she's like, okay. Golly. And then it's boob stuff.
I forgot.
What?
She took off her bra earlier, and he was like, oh, Stella has porn star nipples.
It's like a whole page of the description of her nipples, and I was not weirded out by it, curiously.
Nor was I.
I feel like I would be weirded out by a whole page of nipple description. It was like a real big paragraph. Yeah.
It was so good. So he's like, he's taking those porn star nipples right into his mouth. And she cannot handle her life, and it is so good.
It's after that she starts kissing him, by the way.
Wait. Oh, it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because that's how she gets so hot and bothered. But then she kisses his temple at some point, and he says that he feels an overwhelming feeling of like being cherished and cared for, because it was such an intimate, beautiful gesture instead of a hot, like whatever gesture. It's so sweet. But then I have a question for you, because there was one line in this book I didn't understand. And so I want your perspective on it. Right after that, she made him feel cherished and all of that. And he says he couldn't keep doing this if he cared. Caring would turn escorting into cheating, and he refused to cheat. I had what does that mean? What is he cheating on?
Her.
Who?
Stella.
Oh!
I think what he's saying is, if I develop feelings for her, then I move on to my next client in 2 weeks, then all of a sudden I'm going to be thinking about how I'm in love with this woman, and I'm going to be having sex with another woman, and I can't do it. And his hot for teacher fantasy in the shower is going to be a hot for Stella fantasy, but it doesn't work because she's still out there, and he's going to get in his head and fuck up his game.
Oh my God, you're a genius! Yes, that's exactly what that means.
Call this what it is. Bing boom bong. Genius time with Erin.
Yep, new segment. Actually, it's not a new segment. We're finally just saying it out loud. We're defining it, everybody.
Let's just change the name of the podcast.
Genius Hour with Erin.
Genius Hour with Erin. Why did we call it Heaving Bosoms?
Well, you know what? That would mean we couldn't do more than an hour, and you know we couldn't do that.
We're already over an hour.
We are.
Chapter 5? What is it?
Chapter 8, madam. Get it together.
Yeah, of 30. 4 hours of the Kiss Quotient. When we read the book to you, why buy the audio book when you can just listen to us read it?
Okay. So
do buy the audio book, though. You want this. I listened to part of it on Audible. It was great.
I'm going to get it because I want it in print and I want it in Audible. Okay.
The person was good.
Oh, good. Okay. The encounter goes on. It switches to her perspective. They get down on the bed, and he keeps on doing more of the making see out skis. And she is super into it. She's arching her back. She's doing some leg wraparounds. Like, it's good stuff. But then he starts trailing his hand down her body, and she's still cool with it. And he, like, is really slow. Good. He's taking the cues from her. Then he starts doing some manual stimulation on her, and she's super into it. And then all of a sudden, she builds and builds and builds, and she's about to orgasm, and she pulls his hand away, and she's like, wait, stop, I can't do this, and backs up all the way to the edge of the bed / the headboard, pulls a pillow in front of her, and he has gone completely still. Because he's just like, what happened? What did I do? Did I go too fast? What's going on? And she says that she's never orgasmed in front of another person. And
she thinks it's disgusting.
Well, no.
She's worried he thinks it's disgusting.
Well, yes. I just feel like it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Sure.
But yes.
Okay.
So he's like, wait, so does that mean you've never orgasmed? And she's like, no, I've orgasmed by myself, but I've just never done it with another person. And in my 3 experiences, there have just been these guys huffing and puffing and heaving on top of me. And then they climax and it's like a horrible experience for me. And then they get up and they get dressed and they leave forever. And I don't want to do that to you. And she feels like coming in front of him would be doing the exact same thing that these guys did to her.
And she's paying him, so he has to do it.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh no, you're going to get disgusted by me. And he's like, do I look like I'm disgusted by you? I was like, right there with you.
Right. And he's like, I was there with you and I was like, loving it.
I'm paying you to say these things and I don't want that out of you. It's awful.
But it's also gorgeous. And through his inner monologue later, it makes him feel like bad, but again, like cared for. And it's like she was so considerate that she would forego her own orgasm because of his feelings, even if it was really misguided.
So they call it a night.
Yeah.
But first she gets him to get a burner number so that she can contact him.
Yeah.
And he says that their next date, they might go out to a club to kind of teach her how to be in a relationship with somebody. And go on
like
a
mix
date.
it up and not just go straight to hopefully Pound Town. And I did love when she's doing the number. He's like, wait, you gave me your number. I thought you'd expect me to give you my actual number. And she's like, wait, but isn't this better for you?
Right.
And he's like, oh, that.
Yes, it is better for me. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for considering my feelings. It's so good. So she hesitantly and reluctantly agrees to go to a club with him the next weekend to go dancing. So then, it's next week, you guys. We don't have to do anything during the week.
I love how she doesn't fucking, she's not like, and then I fed my cat.
And then I went to brunch.
Went to the store. And then I met up with my girlfriends and we rehashed the whole night. I'm so, just skip to the good shit. I didn't herbs any of this book. I just read it.
I know, right?
No herbs.
Okay. For those of you who are new to the podcast, that's how Erin read Outlander.
Erin read Outlander. She missed a lot.
Like, herbs. We're on another boat. Why is there a battle?
History. You can get Outlander down to about an hour a book if you do that. Okay.
Okay, so next Friday, gorgeousness ensues. They're walking down the street hand in hand, and she's like, it's bad to eat dessert first. And he's like, we're getting gelatos.
It's mint chocolate chip time.
Oh, get it,
I don't know why we're singing so much this episode. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's awful.
Exuberant.
Have I ever told you my singing story?
No.
About being in a choir? All right, guys. Bing, boom, bong. Tangent time with Erin. So I'm in choir. Yeah. Oh, hey, Liz, if you're listening. I'm with Liz. I'm in a choir for South Pacific the musical in high school.
Ooh, gonna wash that man right out of my hair.
We're in the nurses choir. We're singing that song. Okay.
Oh.
I've never been in a musical before. We'd only ever done plays at my high school, and this was like a new thing. We're going to do a musical now. Okay. It was going to be like the musical in the fall and the play in the spring. So this is our first musical. We're all singing. The choir director narrows us down to like half the choir and was like, okay, you guys sing. And then it's like a fourth of the choir. And then it's like 5 of us. And then he points I don't even remember.
Oh no.
Just 3 of us.
Was she trying to find out who was tone deaf?
It was me, Liz, and somebody else. I don't remember who number 3 was. And they pointed to me and they were just like, you lip sync. And I was like, oh no. Because I had tried out and I had gotten like a funny line that was like, you better wash that man right out of your hair. Like one of those like cheeky, like, you know. And so I thought maybe I was okay at singing, but no, they wanted me for my like 2 comedic lines and that's it.
You are really funny.
Thank you. You're and there were a couple like little like nurse solos that were like da 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 like in the middle of the thing, and I was like, oh, I wonder I didn't get one of those because like I think Liz had one and like another girl had another one. I was like, oh, now I know. Okay, that's good. Good to know.
That's amazing. I love that I knew.
Yeah, because it's bad. It's real bad.
Choir teachers are ruthless, too. They've got to be.
Because I know it wasn't the drama teacher. It was somebody else who did the music part. Because there was the drama teacher was there. She was cool. She would never have done something so awful mean to me. And
That's not mean.
It was some other choir.
That's just something that will not ruin the play.
In front of everybody?
She could have taken you aside afterwards.
It said lip sync. It's a high school play. I never sang again. I was like, I never ever sang ever again after that.
You can sing in front of me.
Thank you.
You're
never
welcome.
Gonna sing again. All right.
Sounded really on key.
Thanks.
Your improvised song there.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. So they walk into a gelato shop.
Gelato.
And he's like, oh, so do you know what flavor you're going to get? And she's like, I do. My favorite flavor is mint chocolate chip. And he's like, oh, that's my favorite flavor too. I'll get something else so that we can try both. And she's like, why? Sorry, try both? Why would we do that?
Why would you do that? Because I know my favorite already.
Yeah.
Mint chocolate chip.
And in her inner monologue, she's like, he didn't understand that I had like gone through the process and like did the pros and cons and made graphs and lists. And like I knew the perfect flavor of ice cream for me. But anyway, he looks at her and he's like, what, you don't want to share with me, Stella? And the girl behind the counter melted just like I did. And Stella's like, oh yeah, no, that's great.
Shares
that's
with you.
Good idea. And so he gets my second favorite flavor of ice cream. Green tea. Ah, delish. So they walk over and he, like, you know, they do the spooning ice cream at each other. Excellence. Oh, no. He feeds her. And then she takes a bite of her ice cream and then he's like, let me taste it. And she holds out her spoon and he just goes in for the tongue kiss.
Yeah.
Getting that mint chocolate chip.
In that other book.
And
remember?
That Stella. Oh, and I hated it there. Which one was it?
It was a Christmas one. It was it was Christmas Cowboy. It was Maisie Yates.
Really?
What was the one where like she was in high school and she like presented her new body to him? Is that Christmas Time Cowboy?
Think so.
Yeah, because they were on the floor eating wines and cheeses. And she's like, do you want to taste the wine I'm drinking? And she held out the wine to him and he was like, out her mouth.
Yeah, I didn't like it there.
I did. I thought we liked it.
Did I like it?
Yeah, I think we liked it.
Okay, fine.
That was one of the few parts of that book that I was into. I was pretty lukewarm on that one.
Sure,
but I loved it here.
Boy, howdy. And then the kiss morphs into like something that Michael cannot control. So he is just on her and they're making out like crazy.
Well, she wore a dress, by the way, like a sexy dress.
She's got her, it's so beautiful. She's got her thumb underneath his cuff and she's rubbing his wrist. And like just the smallest, gentlest touch. And then somebody's like, hey guys, you're in public.
Get our room.
Hey.
We're here too. Gelato teenagers. We're here.
Yeah.
God, gelato teenagers, do you not know what's going on?
This is revolutionary romance.
This is like her first sexy kiss, gelato teenagers.
Also, it's none of your fucking business, gelato teachers.
Get out of there, gelato teenagers.
Go to a park. Go sit on a park
You're
bench.
Just jealous is what you
jealous
are.
Kids.
Make out with each other.
That's because you don't want to make the first move, do you, gelato kid?
Yeah, you're just scared kids. You're scared. You're scared of your sexiness.
Yeah. Scaredy chickensies. So, you know what, though? Michael fucking loves that Stella is not embarrassed. Stella just has this little smile, like the cat that ate the canary, and she's into it. So then they go to the club, and he's like, we should be on a list, but then the bouncer just looks at Stella, and he's like, go on in. And Michael, goddamn panther that he is, sexy beast, he leans over into her ear, and he's like, he thought you'd be good for business.
He said like, hey, we're both sexy. I'm pretty sure he said we.
No, I'm pretty sure he said her, but that's fine. Either way.
Do you want to bet on it?
Yeah.
I'll bet you the scram cracker.
That's not a bet.
I can't give it to you.
Let me see. I would bet you a compliment.
Oh, no, it does say you. It does say you.
Win! Just the honor and the triumph because is enough for me.
I was thrown because it said they let us in. So when it comes to reading comprehension, I'm always going to lose. I don't know why I try to play these games with you. I'm always wrong every time.
Right, I know. I read slow, but I remember almost everything on the on a short-term level.
While I like blatantly skip herbs, I like a little bit skip not sex, not sex, not sex.
That is very on brand.
Just maybe every other word or so just kind of slips in and out, you know.
Okay, so she says, I want a table, because she knows herself and she knows that she needs some sort of refuge.
Yeah, she's like, who can I pay?
Yeah, and he's like, it's not free. She immediately hands over a credit card out of her cleavage. Mm-hmm. And he
fishes around. He's like, what else is in there?
Yeah. And he quote unquote not accidentally, just skates his finger over a nipple on his way. Woo! And then they sit down and they're chatting. She is like, is that another custom made suit? Mm-hmm. And he's like, it is in fact. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Because we get a little peek. We get a little hint about what Michael does. So she's like, oh yeah, my tailor, she thinks I'm really a problem child. I'm her quote unquote diva client. And sometimes I think she sticks me with pins on purpose. Mm-hmm. And he's Michael like, how tenses up.
How?
And he's just like, never in a million years should any tailor do that. And it's just so good.
He says something to the effect of like, he says she should have better control of her pins. It's not that hard. Even when I was 10 years old, I could not stick people with pins. And she's kind of like, he like trails off and he's like, anyway, what other tailoring issues are you having these days?
Right.
Like, so I was like, oh, he's a seamster. I don't know what you call a male seamstress. I know like somebody that does alterations, but
I like steamster.
I like seamster.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Quan sits down.
You like love Quan. You're like in love with Quan.
Quan is the best friend and cousin that I have seen written in a long time.
Oh, you have a friendship boner for Quan, huh?
I do. I want to be friends with Quan.
You have an Interstellar Rides cousin boner for Quan.
I don't like that. I do not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do not want our balls to touch.
For 2 full hours about first cousins having sex, but we can't say cousin boner.
No, you can say cousin boner. You can't say that I have a cousin boner, because I don't.
You said you love him because he's such a great first cousin. I think that's a cousin boner.
My great first cousin. I don't want our balls to touch even a little bit, Erin.
All right, okay, all right. You're right. When you get a cousin boner, you do want your balls to touch a little bit. We learned that the hard way.
No, we did. Listen to Mastered by Her Mates if you hadn't heard it yet. Okay, so also I've read the next 3. I
can't read about that Outland warrior. He has a farmer's tan. I can't do it.
No, don't worry. Skip that one. Go to the one where she breaks him out of prison. With her.
All right. We'll save it for the Patreon.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. We're at the club. So Quan
sits down and Michael freaks out a little quietly. And he's like, oh, hey, weird that I didn't know you were coming here. That's interesting. Whatever. Who are you, Stella? Hi, I'm Quan. I'm his best friend. I'm his cousin.
Yeah.
And so
I should know
my name.
Yeah.
And I should,
You should know my name. That's right. It's not that aggressive, guys.
No, it's great. It's great. He's awesome.
It's forward, but it's not like that. Yeah. Hey, Stella, you should know my name.
Yeah. Everybody's like, why does she like this asshole? He's not like that, you guys. This is my own exuberance and the fact that I'm high on sweet tarts.
I would like him, not Melanie.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. And then something happens. Stella notices a blonde at the bar.
Yeah, so Michael goes to the bar.
Gesturing Michael over. Michael goes to the bar. So then she's talking to Quan. And he can tell that she's a little bit worried about the blonde. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, oh, hey, he didn't want to talk to her. I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't want to talk to her.
It's pretty clear, yeah.
Don't worry about her.
Yeah, no worries.
And she's like, oh, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So then they're chatting like excellent future friends.
Music is getting louder. Bass is starting to drop. Light shows are starting to happen.
Flames on the walls.
People are coming in. Lots and lots of people. Like way too many people. And she's like, what? Were all these people here before? And Quan's like, nah, the show's starting. So that's why the DJ is starting
There's a new DJ in town.
Drop the beats. Clearly,
tell me all about it, Erin. Tell me about the beats that they're dropping, huh?
Is that my accent? Is that how I sound? No.
No, I just like making you sound like you're from the UP.
Okay.
Okay.
So she looks over. The blonde is making out with Michael.
Yeah, she has planted one on him.
And she thinks, he's going to like back away and like push her off. Doesn't.
And she doesn't see that happen. And so that's just the last straw for her because she's really overstimulated at this point. And so she goes to leave and Quan, sort of follows her and he grabs her hand, gets in front of her and starts like basically being a bouncer to get her out of there as fast as possible. Quan is a great friend.
He is a great friend.
Yeah. So they go outside. She collapses against a wall and she's hyperventilating, trying to get herself in order. She's like, what is that really fucking annoying gasping sound? And then she realizes it's her.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just got overstimulated. And so he recognizes the word because his brother Kai is autistic. Yeah. And so then he just flat out asks her, hey, are you autistic? And she's like,
yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, does Michael know? He should not have brought you here. He never would have brought you here. And she's like, no, I haven't told him. Please don't tell him. Please don't tell him.
And Michael has her cards.
He has her cards. She left her cell phone at home because she had nowhere to put it. And he has the keys to her car because he drove her car.
Right.
And so she
Which is a
asked
Tesla, y'all. Anyway, moving
on. So she asked Quan if she can borrow $100 so that she can get like a cab home.
Just get out of there.
And Quan's like, I hope you saw him push that blonde away. He's terrible at defending himself against women. He did not want her advances. And she's like, what? Are you sure? But she still just wants to go home. And then Michael comes out and he's like, hey, where'd you go? What happened? And she locks eyes with Quan and just begs him not to say anything with her eyes.
Don't tell him.
Yeah. And he goes, she saw you with that blonde and decided that she had to bolt. And Michael's like, what, Stella? You think I would do that right in front of you? Like, give me some credit.
Yeah, but also, like, I'm with her. Cause,
why wouldn't she know that? There's no fucking
way.
He
didn't push her off. He didn't, say, no thanks and walk away from her.
Yeah. He went over there in the first place. Yeah. All of those things
He kissed her for like, a long time.
No, I don't think so. She
looks over her several times, and she's like, he's still kissing that blonde.
Yeah, what she says is, she locks her lips with him, and then she goes, I waited, and she was like, surely he'll pull away. Surely he'll pull away. So it was probably like a 3-beat thing before she was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I think that's a long time.
No, it is. It is. But we learn why later. We learn why in the
I know.
final
I'm just saying from her
encounter.
perspective, it's pretty bad.
No, totally. So he is like, do you want to go back inside? And she's like, oh God, no, please. And he's like, okay, let's go home then. And
let's go home.
Let's go home, you guys. Ooh. Although he does correct later because he takes her home. He tries to turn on the radio. She immediately turns it off. She's doing this tapping thing that she does on her thigh, usually when she's nervous or like going through something. And he thinks it's annoying, but he doesn't want to say anything. They get home and she's like, hey, will you come in? I have something I want to talk to you about. I have an alternate proposal for you. So he goes into her house and he's like, did you just move in? And she's like, well, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have like a lot of furniture. Yeah. She has the very essentials because she's always at the office. It doesn't make sense for her to fully furnish her house. So she says, I figured out tonight that I might not need sex lessons. I think I need to learn how to be in a relationship. And then if I can learn how to be in a relationship, maybe then somebody will want to work on sex with me. It's so sweet. So my alternate proposal to you is you be my practice boyfriend with no sex. Sex is off the table. And if you do that, I'll pay you $50,000 a month. And maybe we can do that for like 3 to 6 months and see how it goes.
Right.
And he is floored because he's like, first of all, sex is off the table?
Yeah, I want to do the sex, though.
Interesting. And so he's trying to like process it with her. And he's like, Stella, I think that you just like being with me because you know you're in control, because you're paying me, so you know that you like have the final word on everything. And she's like, no, it's because of the way you treat me. It's because you're you.
Yeah.
And he goes, he's basically like, you can't say that shit to me. Like, you can't, my heart will break into a billion pieces if I believed that, essentially.
Because I already love you a little bit.
A little bit. But he's just like, you shouldn't say things like that to me. And she's like, why not? It's true. And just her candor, I think, melts him a little bit. Like, her sincerity, her candor throughout their relationship is really important to him.
So he says he'll consider it.
Yeah. And he wants till next Friday to figure it out.
We embark on what is a classic England Times fake engagement. I love a fake engagement, and this is pretty much what it is. Like, we're just going to pretend to be I love pretending to be dating. It's such a tropey trope, and it gets me every time.
Yeah, because it's also got a little bit of that like forced proximity trope in there. That's
love
nice.
Forced proximity. Love it. Should we?
Yeah, should we cliffhanger this?
Should we break it off right now?
I think we should. Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. My Kindle says we're only 30%.
I am not sorry.
Listen, guys. Okay, if you're the type, because there's been a lot of discussion on the Heaving Bosoms geriatric friendship cult. Why do we name it such a long thing? Why did we? Anyway,
it was your idea.
I know it was mine.
Remember, and then afterwards you were like, "Fuck, Melody! Why didn't I think of doing the Heaving Bosoms Reindeer Mafia?"
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
I still like the geriatric friendship cult.
I do too. Anyway, so there's some discussion on there of like, do you read the books first or do you listen to the podcast first? If you listen to the podcast, does that ruin the book for you? Do you still want to read the book? Blah, 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 blah.
Guys, read this book immediately. Yeah. If you have not read this, do it now.
If you are listening to this part 1 and you have not read this book, take this as a blessing that we made this one a 2-parter for you.
You guys.
Go home, read this book, because we haven't spoiled all the spoilers yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
Read it. Take a week. You only need 6 hours? A classic romance afternoon. That's all you need.
Yeah, I've read this book 2.5 times in the past week, and I read 3 other books too.
Read this book.
Guys.
Come back at us next week.
Read this book. You will be the happiest you've ever been, basically. I don't care if you're in the middle of another book. I don't care if you have some kind of summer semester final that's due. I don't care. Read this book.
Yep.
Do it.
Summer semester final. Come on now.
Listen, people have school in the summer.
Yeah, but they're not serious about it. Read this book.
Read it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So, hey, Erin. I'm wondering if you have a lady love that is not read this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lame.
Okay.
For a long time, since I moved out of my last place, I've had a broken Shark steam vacuum mop. Just mop. I don't know why I said vacuum. Steam mop. You know what I'm talking about? Shark steam mops? Ooh.
No.
It's a mop. It makes steam. So it steams up your floors.
Okay.
And it's got its own water in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice. I forgot how nice it is. Anytime you're going to mop your floors, it's great because it heats it up, gets all the stuff off. This mop thingy was black. Get one of those Shark steam mops, guys. It's only like $40. And I know that's a lot, but it's a little for what you're paying for. And then you never have to really mop again. You don't have to do the moppy stuff. Swiffers,
you don't have to do like the
bucket. I know this just sounds like a Swiffer commercial, but what I'm telling you guys is like the Swiffer, the wet Swiffer, not as good as the Shark steam mop because it heats up the stuff on your floor. It makes it hot.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I dig that.
The hot you need the hot to melt down the grimes.
I dig it.
I'm sorry, it just made me the before and after of my steam mop rag made me so happy yesterday. I don't know if you're like me that like if you can clean something, you know, like when I got the new vacuum and I vacuumed it the whole house with my old vacuum first and then vacuumed it with the new vacuum to see how much more it picked up, and it was so satisfying. This is how I feel about Shark steam mop. So I'm sorry, that's not a very good like lady love because it's about cleaning your house and that never, but it makes me feel so good.
Fair enough. You know, mine might be a little lame too, but it really has changed my life. If you are a glasses wearer and you have not embarked on the journey that is prescription sunglasses, please fix that immediately.
Right?
I put on my sunglasses again today because for a long time I was like, man, I really can't justify spending the money on sunglasses. Burp, 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 burp. Am I really even like a sunglass person? Burp, 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 burp. And then 2 years ago, I was just like, you know what? No, fuck it. I think I need this.
Mm-hmm.
And I got mine at Warby Parker. So it was incredibly affordable. I found like a $30 get your eyes checked deal. And then I took my prescription to them or because I have one, there's a brick and mortar store in, I think, Soho, in the Village somewhere, I think. I don't remember. So I just went to the brick and mortar store because I didn't want to deal with the home try-on. Although the home try-on was also amazing because you don't have to commit. You can actually get the frames and try them on, figure out, like, live with them for however long you want. It seems like
we have sponsors, guys, but we don't.
I know, we don't have sponsors.
Would you like to sponsor us?
Hey, Warby. Hey, Sharky. Shark Steamer.
Shark Steam Mop.
Let us know.
If you're out there, if you're the president of Shark Steam Mops or Warby Parker and you're listening to this, yeah, we'd love to do this not for free.
We'd love to shill your shit for not free.
We're already doing it for free, so
we are.
They're not gonna,
oh, we're giving away all the goods, the milks and the cows, you know, whatever metaphor that is. Anyway, so they just changed my whole life. They're the only thing I've never lost.
Really? Prescription sunglasses?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They are my holy grail. I've never lost them. Not even for like a day.
Huh.
I always know where they are. I thought I would only need them in the summer.
You guys, I don't think you understand how important that is, what Melody just said. For how many times a day she loses her keys, her phone. I've never known you post-baby, but I assume baby occasionally. But she knows where those prescription sunglasses are.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, if you can, do that for yourself, because it's fucking amazing.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay, so honestly, Erin, your picture for Virgin Romance Novelist was gorgeous. And I just have to say, I'm really proud of our social media experience lately.
Thanks.
So
I had a lint roller.
That's right. And those really cute shoes. I've never seen those shoes. They're so good.
They're dancing shoes.
So if you would like to follow us on all of our social medias and see the wonderful pictures that mostly Erin and sometimes I curate.
One very special picture brought to you by Melody.
That's Patreon only information.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can cut it.
No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
If you want to find out what we're talking about, because it is juicy, head over to our Patreon and become a patron. However, I was talking about social media.
Sorry.
On Instagram, that is at Heaving Bosoms. Twitter is at Heaving_Bosoms. Facebook is Heaving Bosoms Podcast. We also have a incredibly amazing, makes my heart skip a beat and fly every day, closed group called the Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. And then our email address, if you want to chat with us in long form, is heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. And our website for all things delightful is heavingbosomspodcast.com.
It's always 2 to 3 weeks late.
Fucking legit.
But if you want to listen to an older episode, it's up there. It's always about 2 books behind.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
All right, Erin. Keeping a badass. Oh boy. And love yourself as much as you love. Oh.
You got it?
No, I haven't formulated it yet, but I'm on to something.
Gelato
keeping a badass. Yes, and love yourself as much as you love scared gelato teenagers.
Scared by our sexiness. Jealous and scared.
Yeah, chickensies.
Yeah, gelato teenagers.
You're acting like gelato kids, gelato teenagers.
Grow up, gelato teenagers.
Find a park bench and learn to kiss. Get out of here.
Stop being such posers, gelato teenagers. You're such preps. God.
Okay, we gotta.
I just want to do it forever.
Me too. I'm peeing a little bit though.
Okay, let's turn off the podcast so that we can keep doing it forever, and no one else has to be bored by us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, Mel.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.